Started.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Kris and Vince with first episode of Prix on Flix.
How you doing? I'm Kris.
I'm Vince, and that is our esteemed producer over there.
I'm Sretton.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Welcome to our first show.
Yeah, welcome everyone.
All right. In this podcast series, we'll talk about television, film, past, present, future, things we're looking forward to, things that we've seen that you might like, and spoiler alert for people, anything we talk about, there will be spoilers. That is something that's important to know. And so if you want to get into something that we're talking about, we'll give you, we'll say whatever we're talking about. And as soon as you hear it, if you sounds like something you might be interested in, shut us off. Check it out. Get back to it.
I think one thing we're going to touch on that's really cool is we're going to focus on a revisit of the week where past shows that have ended, we're going to focus on shows that had a clear ending. We don't want to leave you with cliffhangers. For instance, there was a great show called Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles that left you hanging, never had a final episode. So we're not going to really touch on something like that.
2 seasons, great second season finale, and then boom, canceled. Budget was like one of the most expensive shows in history because of the CGI, and then but you can see Sarah Connor now on Game of Thrones, but we'll get to that at another latent time. Lena Headey. All right.
Or Emilia Clarke.
Emilia Clarke, she was also Sarah Connor
Yes,
in
she was.
Terminator Genesis. Another thing that we'd like to do on this podcast is support local business. We have lots of friends who own businesses. We know people who we don't consider friends who own businesses, and we'd like to get them on the show. We have an email, prixonflix@gmail.com, Prix on FLIX@gmail.com. Hit us up if we're not talking about something that we should be talking about. Send us an email. We both check it.
Let us know. We'll do our best to view it, and we'll talk about it for you.
All right. First things first. Last time we were here. I was here. Sretton told me about a movie called Baby Driver. I hadn't seen it. I remember the trailers for it. I knew it had a big cast, and Kevin Spacey, John Hamm, and then that kid Ansel.
Jamie Foxx.
Oh yeah, Jamie Foxx was in it. Yeah, he was great. And so I peeped it out. I gotta tell you, Sretton, everything you said about it was spot on. This soundtrack,
Phenomenal soundtrack.
no, great soundtrack. Good action sequences.
Very, very fun movie. Lots of action. A little over the top at times. Some of the driving scenes, a little cheesy action, but
it was kind of transporter-esque, like with
it was definitely fun. Definitely fun.
Oh.
John Hamm was phenomenal in that movie. I loved him.
Yeah, it was a big change from like what we're used to seeing. Don Draper, Mad Men, just
a little more colorful.
Yeah, I mean, he was dropping F-bombs and shit. Like it was crazy. He was like, and then, but the whole cast was good. Ending was really good.
Baby, I thought he was a little bland at first, but probably a little less than halfway in the movie, you really started to enjoy that character.
Yeah. It was fun movie. Me and wife watched it, and we both enjoyed it. It wasn't your standard just run of the mill action film. It had a decent plot. I say I'd recommend everybody something to watch, man.
For the ladies out there, it had a good love story too.
Yeah. Definitely didn't feel rushed. Just was good.
What was your favorite part? Both of you guys.
Oh, the shootout. The shootout with Jamie Foxx started when he realized that he was dealing with the cops at the gun when they were buying the guns, and Jamie Foxx realized that one of the cops was arrested him years ago, and then they just started spraying. Everybody just started spraying. It was such a great scene.
Again, spoiler alert for people that haven't seen the movie. I liked when Baby turned on Jamie Foxx. That was a shocking scene.
That was a good scene.
Oh yeah.
Did not see that coming.
Won't say what happened, but great scene, dude. Awesome.
Good shock value. Didn't see it coming.
Didn't see that coming. I just gotta go on a little rant here. Transition. So anyway, Baby Driver, definitely check it out. Great movie. Just
Definitely worth seeing.
yeah. I watched. I think I told you this the other day. I watched the first 15 minutes of Transformers, the newest one. I did with a fucking Arctic Night or Blast Dick Night. I don't know what it is. It's just something terrible. Anyway,
Every new sequel is named after a new crazy flavor of Gatorade.
Arctic Frost or Cherry Blast. It.
You know, I can't remember the first one with Mark Wahlberg.
It was the last one.
Age of Extinction.
The one right before this
Sounds
one.
right.
Yeah. He's only been in 2.
I sat through that one. It was tough, but it was enough to make me not have any interest in this one.
Dude, I watched it. I downloaded it just to peep it out. And
Let me ask you about the Age of Extinction. When I watched that one, I didn't think Mark Wahlberg's character was believable at all. I'm watching him with his daughter, and usually he plays somebody about that age. So I was thinking, that can't be his daughter. That's got to be his girlfriend. It just.
but I don't know. But I mean, he's getting up there.
Oh,
I
I know he
he's-
is, but it just didn't.
he's
It
in
didn't
his
look right.
mid-40s, right? I mean, he was Marky Mark in like 1990. You know,
I got a little thrown off at so every one of those movies is it's robots fighting. So if you have a problem with robots fighting, like chill out. I mean, it's robots fighting. The thing is that so the plots are ridiculous and kind of simple. I guess simple. I don't know. The thing is, in the last movie, one of the plot lines was the fact that his daughter was only 17 trying to hook up with a dude that was like 4 or 5 years older. It was really, really weird. Couldn't think of anything else. Couldn't make her 18 and make it not a thing. It would just be like, don't date my daughter, but you're of age. I just don't like boys dating my daughter. It was like that whole, she's 17. I mean,
Stanley Tucci was a fucking cartoon character in that. He was like the businessman that was like doing all this. Like he was in it. It just
Well, John Turturro was a cartoon character in the others.
in all of them. Yeah. All of them.
Is he in the Mark
he's-
Wahlberg ones?
he's in
Was-
the new one. I don't think he was in the last one.
I turned it off after 15 minutes. Like it opens up with like this big speech from like Anthony Hopkins, and you're like, okay, this guy's won a couple Oscars. Like just.
they made him like crazy in it. So he actually did.
Oh,
all
so
right.
you actually
watched the whole
you
thing.
actually punched through it.
I watched the whole thing at the art theater.
You're a better man than
And
I am.
I think I ended up 3 or 4 beers in. So by the end of the movie, I was like on the verge of tears. It was like Oscar worthy for me.
Oh,
No,
wow,
I was like,
yeah.
Oh yeah! Shout
But
out to
no,
the
it's-
art theater, by the way.
It's still a terrible movie.
Right
Shout out
next
to
to
the
it.
art theater right next door to where we record at the Green Door Bookstore. You can drink beers and watch a movie, man, for cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheap. It's a cheap night. What were the movies there? $5?
I don't know. I
Think-
just went and saw another movie last night, but I don't remember what.
You don't remember what you paid? They're $5 or under, and then you just walk to the Three Monkeys next door to that and get yourself a cocktail and go watch a movie. It's great.
Yeah.
Let's touch back a little bit on Transformers, some of the early ones. Like what'd you think of the first couple?
I thought the Shia LaBeouf was he was a little bit of a
Witwicky?
cartoon character. Yeah, Sam Witwicky. He was a little bit of a cartoon character, but just an awkward teenager, and so he kind of did it. And then the CGI was super great, like for what they were trying to film. They were trying to film something that's impossible to film, and they made it look okay.
Well, I was pleasantly surprised with the first one. I liked it. I thought the fight scenes were really hard to follow with all the metal just clashing.
In the
But
first two.
In the second one, I thought they did much better by making Optimus Prime a little more colorful, and the Decepticons were more bland. So with the brighter colors, you were able to pick it out a little better in the second one. I thought the first one, the fight scenes were pretty hard to follow. Thought they improved upon that, which I assume in these new shitty ones, they still have at least that as a positive.
The CGI in the new one, like just from what I've seen, don't get me wrong, 15, 20 minutes in the movie, I turned it off. I only seen like one, I think I only seen like, other than the opening scene with Optimus Prime floating in space, frozen, like, I only seen a handful of Transformers, and none of them were fighting or anything like that, but it was trash.
Well, let's be honest, part of the appeal of the first one was Megan Fox in the hood of the Camaro.
That was pretty cool.
That was a good
That was
scene.
a good scene.
I like the music in the first one. I like the score of the Transformers.
Yeah,
And they just repeated it mostly, but
They had Linkin Park do the first two
Linkin Park.
soundtracks.
I was thinking Nickelback, and I was gonna laugh, but
No,
it
it was
Linkin
Linkin Park. And the second Transformers had the better Linkin Park song.
yeah.
And one was What I've Done, and the other one was, I forget what it was called, but it was a lot better than What I've Done.
I mean the actual score.
Oh, okay,
I like
yeah.
the,
Like
the symphony music. I really dug. I
Was
enjoyed
that-
it. I don't know who made it. I don't know anything. I just know that Michael Bay usually has a similar kind of
No.
same what was the other movies like the Alcatraz one with Sean Connery.
The Rock.
The Rock,
Good
like
movie.
the music from The Rock. All it's
Oh,
all
that's
real
good stuff,
similar.
yeah.
Like when
I mean,
anytime he
terrible
shows-
movie, but very fun.
I love The Rock.
It's a bad movie, but it's so much fun to
Oh,
watch. It's
Great one-liners.
Oh, great one-liners.
Get crazy, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, the end of Transformers, like I said, I watched the whole thing. By the end of it, the last like 20 minutes, there was a scene where I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know who was fighting what. I didn't know why all these people were. They were on like a planet. Everybody kind of floated up there, and then they kind of floated away. Humans, robots. And like it was. I was just like, I have no clue what's happening.
You know
Was that the beers though? Was that? I mean, you had some
No,
beers
no,
in
no.
here.
It's
It's
just
that
so
bad.
It was just so weird. They just were like, guess what? We're on this floating planet, and I think a big chunk. I couldn't even tell you, like, and that's kind of what it was. That's kind of what it was like the last three movies. You like get to a point where you're like, I sort of don't know what's happening.
And they're all like 2.5 hours long. Like, what
Yeah.
is that, man?
You know, based on that story, it reminds me of something. I'm gonna go off the cuff a little bit, but I watched a movie called Southland Tales.
Oh
I don't-
God, that movie's hard to follow too.
I loved the movie. I was at the very end of the movie, and somebody walks in and says, "Oh, what are you watching?" I said, "Southland Tales." And they said, "What's it about?" And I said, "I have no idea." And they said, "Oh, it just started?" I said, "No, this is the very end." And it's like, "Oh, is it that bad?" I was like, "No, I actually loved it, but I just have no idea why those people even have guns."
No, it's
A
a lot of weird scenes.
The Rock, Justin Timberlake, who I love in most movies. He just doesn't do enough. I mean, there was In Time. Was that the name of it?
I thought the movie was okay.
Great concept.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's actually just life. I mean, yeah. You run out of money, you die. You know.
All right, let's get back on track, though.
Yeah.
Another shitty movie that you wanted to discuss was
Oh,
the new
God.
Pirates.
Oh my God! Like,
Pirates of the Caribbean, still going.
45 minutes into that one, turned it off. Just it was just a. And I watched.
So
Okay.
it's 3 times better than Transformers.
Yeah. So
Another one I haven't
Curse
seen.
of the Black Pearl is probably one of the best live-action Disney movies ever made.
That's the
No,
first
which,
one,
which
right?
one is
First,
it? The first
one. Yes.
That was good. Yeah.
First one.
Yeah, yeah.
The introduction to Jack Sparrow, introduction to Will Turner, introduction to Elizabeth Swann, all the characters. Barbossa, great Jeffrey Rush. What God?
Oh,
what?
yeah.
So perfect in that role. And then they made 2 more with the same cast, and then added a few people here and there. I think Penelope Cruz was in one, and things like that. And then they had another one. And I think the Swan, or the Turners, rather, was it Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley were not in it.
Right.
But it was just, they were just basing it on the whole Jack can sell tickets. Johnny
yeah.
Depp can sell the tickets. And he did. Because, everybody wants to see Johnny Depp act like Keith Richards. And I believe even Keith Richards was actually in the fucking movie as his dad.
I think he was still in one of them with Orlando Bloom and
Okay.
Keira Knightley. I think he was
yeah.
in the second one.
But there's been so many. It was like Dead Man's Tale or whatever. Well, this one was Dead Men Tell No Tales or something like that. And it just, Will Turner's son is, spoiler alert, Will Turner's son's grown. He's like 17, 18 years old. He goes out looking for Jack because in the end of the last one, Will Turner became Davy Jones and was pulled under and lives in the ocean, like at the bottom of the ocean. And so to release that curse, he tries to recruit Jack Sparrow. They go on adventures. There's sword fights, terrible dialogue.
Who tried to recruit him?
Will Turner's son, whose name I don't even give a shit. I don't. It was
How old was he?
Like 17.
Oh, okay.
17 years. No, this takes place like for a little bit down the line.
But Jack hasn't aged that much.
No, it looked the same, exact same. I think they put like 2 gray
Well,
hairs in his beard.
Neither has Keith Richards. So.
That's true. Yeah, Keith Richards has looked 106 since like 1976. But They go on adventures, sword fights, a scene where a couple horses pull an entire building through a town, like the whole building, and then Vince turns off the TV. Like it
sounds like a Fast and the Furious movie.
It was Fast and Furious.
Did you watch all of the Brazilian Fast and the Furious when the two cars drive that 18-ton safe filled with gold and shit?
Yes.
I am. Oh, yes, I did. But there was also a safe in this building that the horses were dragging through.
You were
town.
cool with the physics of the other one, though, right?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No,
I don't.
No.
They haven't made a Fast and the Furious movie that I enjoyed.
Not one fucking single one. They're all just unbelievable.
Maybe
garbage.
Tokyo Drift.
You're so full of shit.
I watch all of them. I make sure I watch all of them.
I've seen them all.
I've seen all of them.
Ever since the same summer that the Avengers came out, I think that's when Fast and the Furious went into superhero territory too. So I actually like them now because they're unstoppable. They're like superheroes. If you watched the last one, the end of it's ridiculous. They should be at the bottom of the ocean. They're like driving on cracked ice. And,
that one I haven't seen yet.
Open water.
I've
like
seen them
it's
all up to that one.
Racing a submarine.
Dom is.
Oh, I love the Facebook picture of Dom, and it says like Fast and the Furious 17, and he's in space on top of a car fighting a transformer or something.
It's coming.
It's just bad, and they want to make another one. God,
of course. Why wouldn't they?
Because people will go see it. Please, like we will tell you, we will recommend things for you to go see. We will also tell you to stop going to see things. Stop going to see that.
And here we want to talk bad about those movies so we continue to watch them.
Yeah, I know. And well, if they make them, like, but the key is that if you can find a way to not pay for them, that's the idea. All right, moving on. Pirates of the Caribbean, miss it. Transformers, miss it. Baby Driver, see it.
Absolutely.
Chris, you had one that you want to talk about.
It was a Netflix original starring Joel Edgerton called It Comes at Night. Post-apocalyptic type movie. Mysterious disease that they never get into. You got a family living in a house, and grandfather dies. They take him out to burn the body and stuff. And then at night, somebody breaks into their house, and they capture this guy. And he apologizes, said the house was boarded up. I had no idea anybody lived here. Me and my family are in a house a few miles away. We came looking for water. They end up trusting this guy, and they go get his family and bring him back to live with them. So you've got two families living together that don't really know each other in this post-apocalyptic world. And then, of course, they start to not trust each other, and just bad things ensue. And it's a fairly depressing movie, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a little suspenseful. There's some really cool dream sequences that try to get you some jump scares, but good movie. I would definitely check it out. It's really a good study on people versus people.
It's kind of like Walking Dead style, but without the zombies.
Yeah. There's a line in the movie where Joel Edgerton says, "You'll never know what desperate people are capable of."
Yeah, it's true. Forgive me, I'm not talking. I'm actually pouring a beer. Shout out to Chris, turning 40 tomorrow. And,
Thank you.
Had a little surprise birthday party and got a growler from Hunter's Brewery.
Yeah.
And so we're trying it now.
We're gonna start to touch on some TV shows here. We've been all about movies so far, and we might hit some more movies coming up. But let's transition into some TV shows.
Oh, real quick, this is fantastic, by the way.
Yeah?
It's a porter. Yeah, it's super coffee flavor.
What's the name of the brewery?
Hunter's Brewery.
Where's it at?
It's in Chesterton, Indiana, right on Calumet Road, right by Danny O's, and which is where Chris's birthday party was.
Danny O's. Thank you to Danny.
Shout out to Danny O's. All right, TV, first thing. Coming back not this week, but next week, Travelers. Is that correct? Is that
October 16th, Season 2, Travelers. And I'm willing to bet that not many people have ever heard of this show.
Never heard of it.
okay? Well, let me explain the concept here real quick. I'm gonna tone back on spoilers of this show because it's really that good. It's a sci-fi show. Takes place present day.
And we understand that not a lot of people have probably seen this show.
Right.
So we're gonna.
This is definitely one to watch. The first season is entirely on Netflix. Stars
Eric McCormick,
from Will and Grace, who is in a dark,
dramatic role,
and he's fucking outstanding. Just great. I mean, this is when you at first glance, this kind of seems like it's a Canadian show. It kind of seems like a cheap Canadian show with not a big budget, but when you get into like what it's about, how it runs, it's phenomenal.
Very, very original idea. It's let's go ahead and touch on the time traveling and how they do it. I mean, this is just a setup. This is something you're going to find out in the first
episode.
5 minutes of the first episode.
Yes, it actually starts out in the first episode. You find out that you see a timer in the bottom right-hand corner or bottom left-hand corner, and as you're following somebody's life. And what happens is, as it counts down to 0, or right before it counts down to about 5 seconds left, something happens to them. They convulse, and then all of a sudden, once it hits 0, the timer starts to go the other way, and they were in a situation where... You all right, buddy?
Yeah.
Okay, they were in a situation where they were going to die. And in the future, however, you never find out how far in the future, but in the future,
the deaths that we're talking about are accidental deaths, nothing like a heart attack or something.
No.
It's got to be something that was preventable.
Yeah, something that was preventable.
Like a car accident.
Or an attack. Or somebody getting mugged or something like that. Because that's the first one you see is the girl, she has a mental illness. She has a caseworker, and she's getting attacked. She's about to be brutally raped, and all of a sudden the timer expires, and all of a sudden these people that were attacking her were going to murder her. But instead of her dying from being murdered,
so this future person,
a new conscious from the future, takes over her body. She jumps up, does some crazy Jackie Chan.
Now, it's important to point out that the consciousness of the person that was going to die is now gone.
It's gone.
So that person is essentially dead.
Yes.
And the person from the future, their consciousness has come back and taken over that body.
Yes. And there are teams of...
So they're not killing people that... They're not killing anybody that wasn't going to already die. They already have historical records from the present saying how this person dies, exactly what time they die, so they could just take over that life, and they're not stealing anybody's life.
And that's why something that isn't preventable, like a heart attack, can't happen. Because if I'm about to die of a heart attack, and somebody takes my mind over and I die, and their consciousness, well, my body is still going to die.
And the reason for these time travelers is because the future sucks. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible world.
It's a wasteland.
There's certain instances that they could point to that have caused this, so they are going back to try to fix it.
And there's different groups. There's groups of 4 or 5, and each one has a specialty. Like there's one of them's a soldier, one of them's the leader,
one's
one
a medic.
Of them's the medic, one of them is the memory person, like the historian. They call him the historian. That's how they make their money.
His job is to remember everything that's ever happened. If you say a flight number, he could tell you how many people were on that flight, whether the flight landed safely or crashed. I mean, he knows everything throughout history.
And he also knows who is going to win what games,
what horse races,
which is how they finance their.
It's where they get their bank.
It's how they finance their revolution against the future. And some other stuff happens, and I don't know. It's a really great show. It's a lot of action, a lot of good drama.
I don't know if we said this, but Eric McCormick plays an FBI agent.
Yes.
So they've got an FBI agent on their team now.
They strategically picked these people that were in the positions where, like, one of them's a high school student, and
one of the great things of the show is a couple of the flaws that they made, and not flaws in making the show, flaws that the future people had planned. One of the guys dies of a heroin overdose, so they send him back in that guy because the record showed that was the first time he'd ever tried heroin. Well, that was incorrect. So this guy comes back, and now he's addicted to heroin.
It's a great concept. I mean, dude, Sretten's smiling. You can't see it because we don't have a camera in here, but I think Sretten's going to watch. All right. Season 2 starts the 16th. I'm super excited. Like I said, we're not gonna do a whole lot of spoilers with that one until people catch up on season 1 because it is worth the 13 episodes to watch. You can binge it. You can binge it on a weekend on Netflix, like I said, and season 2 comes out next week.
All right, I got another one for you that I haven't watched, but I know you watch it a lot, and that one's started up tonight. Looks like
Lucifer?
season 3, Lucifer.
Yep, season 3 of Lucifer. Man,
It's had 3 seasons already.
yeah.
Or
Well,
it's
see-
on its
It
had
Third
2
season
seasons
started
already?
tonight.
Yeah, it's really good, man. It's Tom Ellis, the guy who plays Lucifer, just great character. It comes off a little abrasive and annoying at first, but the Laura German she was in a bunch of like B movie horror movies. She was in this. I don't know if did you ever see Hostel, the second one, the sequel to Hostel? She was
I don't like those movies.
no.
Nah.
Well, I didn't like
I
those
did
movies
see a
either because
commercial,
They weren't very good.
I did see the commercial though. Tom Welling joining the cast.
Yeah, Superman.
Superman. Yeah. Well, he was never actually Superman until the last. What the fuck was that, dude? That's coming out in editing.
Bluetooth speaker.
No, yeah, Tom Welling was never actually Superman until the last 30 seconds of 10 seasons of Smallville. But Tricia Helfer from one of the greatest science fiction shows of all time, Battlestar Galactica, she was the female Cylon in Battlestar. She
Number 6.
Yes, number 6. She
She was pretty hot.
still is.
Yeah, I'm
She
sure.
still is. She's like 6 feet tall. She's a total fox. Well, she plays Lucifer's mom, who's essentially God's wife, because Lucifer is the son of. Anyway,
Rachel Harris. She's been
just-
in some different things.
she's
seen.
a psychiatrist. It was kind of a minor role.
She was Stu's crazy fiance in The Hangover.
Yes.
Great role.
Great role. Yeah, just the one who had the affair with the guy on the boat.
Yes. Now I'll be honest. The only thing I know about Lucifer is what I've learned from Lucifer on Supernatural. Do you remember the line?
Oh, yeah.
In Supernatural, if you guys watch, it's Lucifer's in a cage, and they talk to him about. He says something witty, and then he says, "What am I gonna do? Move out to L.A., join the police force, solve crimes?"
Yeah, it was a total just
And we'll get into Supernatural
Eye
later.
gout.
I mean,
total eye gouge at Lucifer, because the first season of Lucifer, first couple episodes were really good, and then it got kind of cartoony, and it's kind of getting a little ridiculous with the fact that Chloe is her name. Laura German's the main character next to Lucifer, obviously, is just refuses to believe that he is, because she's an atheist, which is why his powers don't work on her. So
his powers don't work simply because she doesn't believe?
Well, that, and you find out something in season 2 that I don't want to say, but for people who aren't caught up on it, there's another reason that but
All right, because that reason alone would have been pretty cool.
yeah, but it's part of it. It's all part of it. But she refuses to believe that he is who he is, even though she's seen him do impossible things. Like in the first episode or second episode, she sees him shot like 7 times in the back.
See, I can't think of a example here, but that's the kind of stuff that drives me fucking nuts in shows where you see the impossible happen over and over, and the main character still deny that its existence or something like that.
It's annoying as shit. It does happen often, and what are you gonna do?
Happens
But
very often.
it does.
So frustrating.
Yes.
Like-
I don't know if you guys are going to get into it because I heard you say you're going to talk about Walking Dead, but the Fear the Walking Dead.
Watch it. We were gonna talk about that later.
I had
yeah.
high hopes for the first season, and it
Well,
was a
let's
lot
get
of
into that
going
now.
on.
Let's talk about Fear
Yeah,
the
we
Walking
can jump
Dead.
ahead.
I don't want to cut you off.
No,
No,
I
it's
just
cool.
wanna-
No,
There's no real order here. We're just let it flow.
we wrote some shit down and just figured we just.
Fear the Walking Dead. You know, my big problem with Fear the Walking Dead, no likable characters.
Other than Nick,
And you hated Nick at the beginning.
I did. He was a fucking douchebag in the beginning, but I think he was written that way because I think he's ultimately going to become the hero. And
Yeah, he's the one that they're focusing on for the character development, kind of like they did with Carol in Walking Dead.
yes.
But I other than Nick, there's nobody I really enjoy on that show. I still watch. I'm character invested, and I will continue watching.
Yeah,
But
Kim Dickens is kind of lame. I liked what's his name? The
Travis?
Travis. I liked Travis, but he
I did too, but that's still kind of like liking the best worst character.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, it really is. Fear the Walking Dead has, like, other than Nick, and it takes at least like a season and a half before you actually like Nick. There are zero.
I will say I liked him from the beginning. I did.
Okay. Well, it was like halfway through the second season, I was like, okay, this guy, he's doing, like, when he started walking around with the blood on him, like, for his family, it was really cool. But there are zero likable characters on that fucking show. Not one. The Honduras soldier dad guy, his daughter, he sucks. His daughter sucks. That on the new ranch, all those people suck. The brothers suck. Like, the dad sucks.
And you got I'm not sure what the character's name is. The younger brother, I believe, not Troy, the other one, Jake. Jake.
Are you current?
I think I'm behind an episode or two.
All right, well,
But Jake.
yeah.
Jake is
I'm not current, but I know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
Jake's gone. No, I don't know that. But yeah, Jake, I like that actor because he's been in some different things. He never really jumped out as a great actor, but he was
I think he did when he was in he was the twins in the Following,
Kevin Bacon show.
The Following,
yes.
which was a great show, got canceled prematurely. It sucks, but it happens. Kevin Bacon, but I don't know where they could go after that. Like the Following didn't end, it got canceled, but I think it's one of the ones that you can watch.
Are you sure that it
sure?
got canceled?
Yeah, oh, it got
Because
canceled.
the last episode worked well as a final episode.
It got canceled. They were going. It was going to be a season 4, and they did not do it. But the niece, his niece, Kevin Bacon's niece, is on another good show that critics ripped apart, and that's Iron Fist. Watch that one if you can. It's great. Not a good story.
Oh, Dexter. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking of
He was in Dexter?
from Fear the Walking Dead, Jake. Yes, he was Dexter was going to make him his apprentice at one point, and then he got his skull opened up and part of his brain removed.
By who?
Who was the final it was Vogel's son. Remember Vogel, the psychiatrist?
Yeah.
Her son killed him.
That was Charlotte. What's her name? Is Charlotte. She was just nominated for Best Actress.
Older lady.
Yeah,
really
older
pretty
lady.
eyes,
Really pretty, yeah. French. Ransing. Charlotte Ransing. I don't know. All right, so that's our take on Fear the Walking Dead.
And we'll get into Walking Dead a little next couple
closer
shows.
to when it's going to start back up.
Because that's what, Halloween, October 31st?
I think so. Whatever the Sunday is it.
Then maybe the 29th. Let's take a look.
Okay, that would make sense because we'll talk about the same week. We'll talk about Walking Dead coming back that earlier in that week, whatever it does, because it'll come back on a Sunday. So
actually a week earlier, October 22nd, it looks like.
that's when Walking Dead comes back.
Yes, October 22nd.
So then, what is that Friday? After the 22nd, or
The Friday would be 27th.
Friday? The next Friday is 27th.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Stranger Things. So that week, the week before that, we'll talk about Stranger Things and Walking Dead because those both are coming back the same week. And
Sounds good. So if you're a fan of those shows, make sure you tune into that one.
what's the other one that you talked about? We said we were going to hold off on that because it comes back in November.
What was it?
It was like November 5th. Shameless.
Yes, Shameless. Shameless will be later.
Okay.
Great show.
So, spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about those 3 shows at the in the next 2 weeks. But for now, we have Travelers, Lucifer, and probably my best new shows of the year so far, definitely Seth MacFarlane's
Boom, bitch.
Boom, bitch, the fucking Orville, dude. Wow, what a great start to a great show. This is the Star Trek that we've we're okay for the record because we're going to talk about the actual new Star Trek Discovery, but we're actually talking about the Orville, the Seth MacFarlane dramedy, and it's labeled as a comedy, but it's so much more than that because
it's an hour long for one.
Exactly.
You don't see many comedies
It's not a
that are an hour
sitcom.
long.
It's not a sitcom. It's a dramedy, and the first 4 episodes
They touch on some serious issues, some social issues in the episodes too.
there was a gender episode. And
Yes.
It was really good, and not going to spoil that one, but not so happy of an ending. And when you watch it, you'll understand. But
exactly, pretty surprising. You would think a show like that would finish on a happy note and stuff, and that was a little upsetting ending.
I'm gonna have Chris
But
pull
real.
up. I'm gonna have Chris pull up the cast log on that. But the ones I know for sure are Seth MacFarlane is a captain. He's kind of had a rough stint because his wife Adrian Perlecki.
Fuck the blue alien.
He caught her cheating with a blue alien because he was spending so much time at work. He was a great captain or up and coming captain, and in the next year after his divorce, he just kind of fell off. And so he was given his last chance, and his last chance is a brand new ship called the Orville, and they go on adventures. And I'm telling you, folks, it is the Star Trek that we deserve. It is good. I mean, it's kind of action-packed, super story relevant. Like, I mean, there's storylines in there.
A little reminiscent of Galaxy Quest.
With that point of like the seriousness with the comedy, but I was gonna say,
But Galaxy Quest is more of a true spoof. This isn't really a spoof.
This isn't a spoof.
This isn't a spoof at all.
No, it's not a spoof. It's not. It's just this isn't slapstick. It's not what Seth MacFarlane usually does, like what you expect him to do on Family Guy, or what he did in A Million Ways to Die in the West.
I'm so glad that this show is not that.
It's not. It's a serious science fiction show that just happens to be funny every now and then.
Jay Lee as Lieutenant Lamar.
Oh,
Probably-
best character on the
yes,
show.
yeah.
Best character on the show.
Exactly what I was going to say. It's got a couple good cameos. Chad Coleman, who call back to Walking Dead. Tyrese from Walking Dead. Norm Macdonald, who is just a voice, but
not going to tell you what he is, but he's just a voice. And when you hear his voice, you'll know he's Norm Macdonald.
I mean, you can't be mad at Norm Macdonald ever.
No. And then the big cameo, which I'm not going to spoil that one.
You can't. You can't.
Just great cameo. But I will say that in the preview for the next one, they advertised that Charlize Theron is going to be the villain on the next episode.
Really?
Yes.
Now, the cameo that you're mentioning was just about 30 seconds of one episode. The Chad Coleman, Norm Macdonald, they've been in almost every episode.
Yes. Yeah. But the one we're talking about that we're not going to spoil, it is great. It is.
But the Orville is a must-watch. It's fun, funny, serious.
And thankfully, other people agree with us because it's getting okay reviews, but the viewership is through the roof. It's getting like 12 to 18 million views every
One thing I was surprised about this show is the production value. Much higher than I thought it would be for a Seth MacFarlane show.
I was expecting like a ship on a string, like
yes.
with like in like a cardboard spray painted black thing with like dots, and it's not. The CGI is great. The makeup and special effects are great. I
believe we're 4 episodes in right now.
4 or 5, yeah, I think 4. Yeah, great episode. It's supposed to be 13 episodes, I think. But what I was gonna say is one of my all-time favorite television shows ever is Stargate SG-1, and it is like so far it is very reminiscent of the episode by episode adventure fix Stargate SG-1. What do you call that? Playbook.
Yeah, you've got to begin. Yeah. You can skip an episode of this show and still follow it. This doesn't have to be a every week watch where certain dramas. You miss a week and you're completely lost.
Another character on the show is the Doctor, and she was I can think of her name,
Penny Johnson Gerald.
Okay, she was on 24. She was David Hayward's
very serious character from her in the Orville.
Yeah, David Hayward's wife on the first season of 24. That's going way back, and then she was also the captain on Castle.
Yes,
and so. Seeing her in a comedic role, even though she's still kind of serious, but this is labeled a comedy.
Right.
And so seeing her, and she does have some funny lines with Norm Macdonald.
Of course.
But yeah, it's great. Orville, watch it. Now transition from the Star Trek we deserve, the Orville, to the Star Trek that we've actually gotten and received, and that is Star Trek Discovery.
Now, how many episodes are we into that?
2.
I have not seen either one.
It was because it's on that CBS Plus or whatever, same network that The Good Fight is on, and The Good Fight is a spinoff of The Good Wife, which Good Wife was a great show. I know people laugh when I say that. Probably one of the better shows in the last 10 years. Great show, great dramatics. And for me, I know the main character of The Good Wife was atheist, and she just pounded it almost every episode. It was great. But
got another Walking Dead alum on Star Trek
was
Discovery.
that Seneca Green?
Sonequa Martin Green, I
Sonequa
believe.
Martin Green.
Yeah, played Sasha on Walking Dead.
Okay, so did you watch both episodes of Discovery?
No, I have not seen either one.
Okay,
So this is all you, brother.
I'm not gonna go too far over it because I got to tell you, I like where it's going. Michelle Yeoh was brilliant in it, as she always is. She's talented, clever, witty, brilliant, beautiful, great actress. She doesn't look a day over 30, and she's like 50 something. She's great. And then James Frain is good. He is a what is Spock? A Vulcan.
Oh, a Vulcan?
He's a Vulcan, and he's the Vulcan that raised Sonequa Martin Green. And I got to say that I like where the show is going.
James Frain. I
Not a
hate
fan?
James Frain.
You just hate him because he was in Count of Monte Cristo. He was the guy that sent.
I hate him because I hated Galavan on Gotham.
Oh, what a terrible, terrible, terrible character. And we'll touch on that because that came back too. But real quick, just one final thought on that. It's the start of the Klingon war with the Federation.
So does this take place
Before all Star Treks.
Wow.
Just Sonequa. Are you sure it's not Seneca?
I'm pretty sure it's Sonequa. Sonequa.
Yeah, Sonequa Martin Green is a bad actress. She is terrible. Almost every single one of her lines are either rushed, poorly given. I mean, she's a terrible actress.
Well, I
But
mean,
the show-
segueing partway into Walking Dead. Walking Dead hasn't really spawned too many great actors. There are a couple on Walking Dead, but I don't think there's a whole lot. I mean, I love what's his name?
Andrew Lincoln?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Oh,
I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Negan is terrible.
I love the Negan character. He makes me laugh, but I think the acting is so over the top.
It really is.
But let's cut that out until we get back to Walking Dead in a couple weeks.
But yeah, okay, so Sonequa Martin Green tries her damnedest to pull the show down. I think the show is still good. Obviously, they spent a lot of money on the show. But if I had to pick between watching the Orville every week for the next 12 weeks or Star Trek Discovery, as much of a Next Generation fan as I am, and all the films, the old ones and the new films, the Abrams films, as much as a fan as I am of those Star Trek movies, I would pick the Orville every day of the week and twice on Sunday before Discovery. Orville is better than Star Trek Discovery. Watch both if you can.
I'm glad that's the one I'm watching then.
Okay,
the
yeah.
Orville.
It's easier to watch too. You have to be part of. You have to. All the Star Trek Discoveries are on that CBS
Plus.
Yeah, which you have to pay for. It's like it's like $7 or $8.
Yep.
So you don't get that with a normal Comcast subscription.
No,
huh?
you don't. You have to pay. That's why I said that The Good Fight, the spinoff from The Good Wife, is on that CBS Plus too, which is why nobody's ever heard of it. But apparently enough people subscribe to it because that's coming back for season 2 in January.
All right, another one that just started back up. I think we're 2 episodes in. Gotham.
Oh, we're gonna go there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Season 4 just started. Second season. We've got Bruce Wayne running around fighting crime, starting to be Batman. What do you think? What's your take?
Yeah. Well, Lucius Fox brought him the prototype Batman suit without even knowing it's the Batman suit. It was
No pointy
bulletproof.
ears
Yeah,
yet. No pointy ears.
He's got the helmet. He's got
I don't think he's got a cape yet either.
no cape, but he's got the bulletproof suit and he's got the wrist guards and he's working his way up and he's kind of kicking ass. I actually like the direction they went with the actor who plays Bruce.
What do you think of them getting into Batman already? I was thinking that we would go further into the show with James Gordon and the villains before we touch this much on Batman.
I don't like the introduction of all the villains. Like, we got Scarecrow now. We got Poison Ivy now. All these, I feel like Batman was Batman before most of these guys became villains. Now, Penguin is a lot older than Batman, and so
that makes sense.
So that makes sense for him to have been in the show since the beginning. And so I was
now, just so you guys know, Vince is more of the comic book nerd than I am. Yeah. He's going to be much more up on comics, so he's going to be able to relate to the comparisons better than me.
So I was under the impression that this show was going to be like child Bruce, maybe learning how to throw a punch or something like that here and there.
And we saw that a lot earlier than I thought we would.
But so far, it's been, I wanted it to be more James Gordon and the Penguin and the Riddler, because the Riddler is a lot older than Batman as well. And then, but now there's we've seen 10. I mean, we've seen the Mad Hatter. We've seen
there's arguments between me and you and all the time on whether we've seen the Joker or not.
Which we did, but he was the guy that picked the Red Hood up. And they've actually confirmed that. It's actually been confirmed.
I don't know about that.
Okay, they had an episode where I
don't remember what happened. What happened to the one? I can't remember the actor's name. Plays Ian on Shameless.
Okay, well he came back. He came back from the dead.
Right, had his face cut off,
and then he died again.
He did die again.
Yeah, Alfred killed him when he took Bruce Wayne hostage, and they were at the carnival thing or the fair or amusement park. And he had his face all cut up. Alfred killed him.
Yeah, but it's Gotham. People come back from the dead every day.
So they said they were.
I still think he's the Joker.
He's not.
I know you.
The guy. They had an episode where the Red Hood was getting passed around from person to person, and that person had a lot of success as a bank robber. And as soon as they lost the hood, they died the next time they committed a crime.
And at the very end of the episode, there was a mysterious man that picked it up. They didn't show his face.
They never showed his face, but there was a guy who picked up the Red Hood. Well, the Joker, in the comic books, the Joker started off as a bandit named the Red Hood. And that is the start of... And so they're...
Stupid comic books.
I know. But, it's just like Game of Thrones. People say Game of Thrones has kind of lost its way since it hasn't had any source material to follow since
I say horse
season
shit.
5. I say horse shit as well, but that's for another episode. Yeah, Gotham came back kind of strong, man. Is really, really fucking good. I didn't like the Selena Kyle character. I kind of like her now. I didn't like Gordon's girlfriend.
Miranda Baccarin or
no
Barbara?
Barbara. I didn't like Barbara.
Barbara Keene.
Love her now. Love her.
Yeah.
I think she's great now.
Yes.
She's probably the best character on that show.
She's a much better villain than she was Good Girl.
Oh yeah, she's just sinister, and I can't stand the James Frain's what was his name on the show?
Galavan.
I can't stand Galavan's sister. She's terrible. She's awful.
Galavan was the worst character on that show.
Yes.
But yeah, Gotham.
Sean Pertwee, great Alfred.
Yeah, I was reading today that the last couple of episodes of Gotham haven't premiered as well as the last season. So hopefully that show's not in any trouble.
I hope not too, because I kind of wanted to go at least 5 episodes with him, and then in the last
5 seasons.
5 seasons. And then in the last episode, we kind of see him turn into the actual Batman, kind of like the way Smallville did.
Yes.
Now, Smallville took 10 seasons, and a lot of those, you're talking 22 episodes a season, and I'd say 30% of those episodes were just dumb garbage. But then it would have a great episode. And then in the season finale of Smallville was probably the best episode ever. And it really, the ending of that show was amazing. And I was hoping that Gotham would kind of have a similar thing, but the way they're building him up, like with the bulletproof suit and the wrist, the metal wrist protectors, and even the Batman helmet without the ears, which is what. And I think he had like a trench coat on or some shit.
So
like that,
it's
too.
seeming like early on I predicted that the show would end kind of like Smallville ended, and I only watched about 30 seconds of Smallville, and it was the very last 30 seconds of the show.
Yeah.
But now it's looking like maybe it'll just end with the bat signal.
I don't know.
Because he's already becoming Batman. So,
Which I don't think I like it.
yeah, I think it's too early.
Him going out and trying to stop little petty crimes here and there, I think that would be cool. But he hasn't really had a whole lot of training to be kicking as much ass as he is. But
Let's stay on the superhero theme here for a minute.
sure.
Because we've got Arrow and Flash coming up. Looks like Flash starts October 10th, Arrow October 12th, along with Supernatural on October 12th.
Shout out to me, turning 35, October 12th.
Nice. Do you guys watch all three of those?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about you? You watch any of those?
I'm not the guy to ask. I haven't been watching a lot of TV lately.
Okay.
I'll watch everything. If it's on Netflix, it's way easier. And
Yeah.
most of them are on Netflix.
Dude, check out Travelers, dude.
I will.
It's a great show.
All right.
It's your homework for the next
my
week. It's your homework for the next week.
Arrow and Flash. I think Flash started off a little. Well, we got 2 seasons of Arrow before we got a season of Flash. 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I got
One's in
6
season
seasons
6, one's in
and
season 4.
4th
No, you're right.
season.
No, you're right. Yeah.
So we had 2 seasons of Arrow, and they were both very dark seasons, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then Flash came out, and it was a little PG, kind of hokey, a little childish.
Not kinda. It was extremely hokey.
Yes.
And
Yes,
it's
it
like-
was.
Like,
But then we got into season 2 of Flash, and all of a sudden Flash started to get a lot better and a little darker, and Arrow started to get a
Yep.
little hokey and a little
went all
PG.
flippy floppy on that ass. Yeah, they did, dude. They got, like, okay, for those of you who haven't watched, Oliver Queen spends some time on an island, learns how to shoot a bow, goes through a bunch of adventures, learns how to fight, become a badass, comes back with a list of people to kill. And when he comes back in the first season, he kills people.
was straight up murdering motherfuckers.
He was straight up murdering people. Just arrow, he would just jump in. You have failed this city, and shoot him with an arrow right through the neck. And
I mean,
that
in
would
one
be
episode,
bad.
he was holding an arrow to his mom's face.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty dark.
And then it just got like,
Oh, I can't kill anybody
can't-
anymore.
which we're not
I'm
advocating
losing-
the murder of people, but we're just saying
I'm
though,
losing my humanity.
Yeah,
Well,
it
you're
did.
the Green Arrow. Go kill people.
No, it was great. And then it got kind of hokey. And then Flash, it seems like
And not that Flash started killing people.
no, Flash never killed anybody, but it still got dark with characters being killed. Not the
Yes.
Flash killing them, but characters being killed.
I mean, hell, we get Harrison Wells killed every single season.
Yeah. Great actor Tom Cavanaugh plays Harrison Wells. He's died a couple of times.
But that's a
on that
little showcases his acting, because every season he gets to come back as another version of himself, and
Yeah.
it's always a completely different type of him.
show. #science multiverse.
Yes.
So and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like every episode of both shows now, it was a Flash thing, and now it's became a Flash and Arrow thing. Every single time a bad guy does something and somebody gets hurt, every single time. It can never just be that because they're an evil person out to do evil things. One of the heroes will say, "Oh my God."
And it's not the same hero
It's not
every
the
time.
same. It's a different hero each time. And on the Flash, it's usually the Flash. But on Arrow, it's one of the different members of Team Flash that does it. It's all my fault that they killed so and so, or that they robbed that bank and almost killed that little girl. It's all my fault. And nobody's ever like, dude, grow the fuck up. Like they did that because they do murder. Like it's what they do. And it's when you have 22 to 24 episodes a season, and in 24 episodes that happens at some point, you got to change the channel. You got to.
Can I just say, let's fix Arrow this season and bring back Roy and Thea.
Never gonna happen. They're all well. Thea probably be back, but
I don't think Roy's coming
Roy's
back.
not coming back. That's Colton Haynes. I think he's doing other stuff.
Yeah, this new cast is falling flat for sure.
Never liked Wild Dog. Thought he was garbage.
No dynamic to him.
I don't like the tech guy. The
one with the black T on his face, whatever that is. I don't know.
He's always paint that on and takes it off with like makeup remover every time.
I don't know.
You'll see him with it on and it's paint, and you'll see him on. And then he'll walk through a door and be taking his jacket off and it's gone. What, dude? You have my wife has some of those makeup removers, the pads. He just got a bag of those in his back pocket. He just wipes it off. It's just really silly, hokey. It needs to go back to the darkness that it was, and which is kind of why I like Gotham, because Gotham takes place in that universe and is dark. And yeah.
All right, the next show, which we did mention, but now we're going to dive into this one, Supernatural. Supernatural is the worst show that has lasted 13 seasons. And when I say it's the worst show, there's no reason that the show should be good.
But it is.
The storylines are terrible, but they have a way to make the show phenomenal. I mean, They did an episode where one of the characters' imaginary friends from when he was a child came to him and said, "Hey, Sam, you got to help me. Other imaginary friends are killing other imaginary friends."
It's true.
I mean, there's no reason that show should be good. But the show hasn't been on for 13 years for no reason. The show is great.
It's
because they're able to take these stupid, off-the-wall, silly things and make them good episodes.
They have an episode called "Chris Angel is a Douche," and it's a really good episode. And they have I shit you not, they have an episode where they leave their reality and come to our reality, where the actors who play Sam and Dean, the two main characters, come into our reality and meet Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki
in Toronto on the set of a TV show called Supernatural.
Yes, and it's actually them in real life, and
they meet Robert Singer, who is the creator of the show.
Yep,
the writer.
Yeah, and also Genevieve Padalecki, who played Ruby in season 5 or 6, who married Jared Padalecki.
Yeah. So the two characters walk into Jared Padalecki's house, and his real life wife walks out on the balcony, and Jensen Ackles looks at him and says, "Dude, you married Ruby," who was a demon in the show. But just such a crazy jump the shark moment. But this show has had probably 30 jump the shark moments, but has never jumped the shark.
And for people who are illiterate to that term, it just means it's when a TV show is really, really good, and then all of a sudden the show does something that changes the show, and the show never becomes good again, and usually fails after that. Like, for example, House. When House and Cuddy, on the TV show House, Dr. House used to chase around this doctor all the time, and he would make snarky comments.
When they finally got together.
Then they finally get together, and it got bad.
Usually it's bringing in a new child into the show is a jump the shark moment. Now, the term jump the shark actually comes from Happy Days, where the Fonz literally was on water skis and jumped a shark.
And they said that was when Happy Days, when he actually jumped over a shark on
wearing his leather jacket. I'm not lying.
And sunglasses, too. No, I've seen the scene. It's terrible. Wearing sunglasses, he jumped over a shark, and that was the point where Happy Days became complete and total just trash, and nobody ever people just stopped watching because it was just too dumb. And so now the term "jump the shark," and I'd say Supernatural's jumped the shark about 12 times, including the last time it jumped the shark. Spoiler: Sam and Dean's mom get brought back to life by she's been dead the whole series, and then at the start of season 12, she gets brought back to life by the sister of God. And
so you're on.
All right, pee break is over. So I was talking about the mom from Supernatural. In season 12, the sister of God brings her back, and that's how the season 12 ends.
Which was another jump the shark moment, but the show managed to not jump the shark because it never does. So, and that's another thing with the show. These characters started off as little kids, basically. I mean, they were probably 20 years old, close to that. And there were always jokes being made by other people about them being kids. And now we're 13 years later, and everybody's making jokes about them being the old men. I love to see that this show has lasted. I even have a supernatural tattoo. I love this show.
Yeah.
I watched the first 3 seasons, maybe 5. I'm not sure. I stopped watching when they took turns pulling each other. It was like one season, one dude goes to hell, and then the next season he gets pulled out of hell, another dude ends up in hell, and they did that switcheroo thing like 3 or 4 times.
And that's like 5 different jump the shark moments that it survived.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I'm out.
You know, it really got to the point for a while with me where I was like, you know what? I'm starting to get tired of every season Sam and Dean just fighting over who's, I can't be around you. We're splitting up. We're going our own ways. And it seemed like every season that was a big struggle. And the last, how many seasons, we haven't seen that.
No.
They've really gotten away from that because I think they knew the fans were growing a little weary of that.
Yeah. And I think one of them ended up in purgatory for a season and then came back. And yeah, remember Benny, the vampire?
Oh, yeah.
Dean and Benny came out of purgatory, like after a year in purgatory. It's like, and Sam's like married or almost married.
Yeah.
And then like
had a dog.
Yeah, and there was one where Sam died and he was in hell for a while or something like that. And Dean had a chick with a little kid. Remember? And I actually, it plays on syndication on TNT or whatever.
I'm still waiting for the return of Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He's got to come back at some point.
He looks so much older now, though. He's got that gray beard, that gray hair.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Real quick throwback. I kind of started to like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who's now Negan on Walking Dead. We mentioned that earlier.
He was
on
dad.
a show.
He was Sam and Dean's father in Supernatural.
Yes, he was the dad on Supernatural in the first 2 seasons. Great show. Lasted 2 seasons. Magic City. It was a Starz show. Great show. It took place in the 40s or 50s about a brand new hotel being built in Magic City, which is Miami. For people who've never been to Miami, it's posted fucking everywhere. I mean, it's in the airport, Magic City. And it's like mob shit. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan owns a hotel, and he's married to Olga Kurylenko, who's beautiful. She plays a Cuban, even though she's Russian in real life, which is weird. But the oldest son is on my newest favorite show, The Expanse. He's the main character on The Expanse. Same Steven Strait. It's a good show to look out for. It just finished 2nd season. All right, but moving on from that, check out Magic City if you haven't seen it. It got canceled, but it ended okay. It wasn't that big of a cliffhanger. It's worth the watch. Great actors. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was kind of a badass in the show. Okay. Shit, you wanted to talk about the T6, right?
Yeah, let's hit some of these rumor mills for the movies, which I guess it's confirmed. It's not a rumor.
We got 2 rumors coming out.
James Cameron is, I believe he's writing but not directing Terminator 6. The big catch to this is that don't really know how I feel about this, but they are ignoring everything past Terminator 2. But the big part is they're bringing back Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor.
Wow.
Arnold Schwarzenegger will be in it. He will not play a Terminator from what I read. He will play the man who designed the T-800. T-800.
The 101.
Also known as the T-800.
Yeah, we debated this last night. I go, dude, I remember Arnold going, I am model 101.
We looked it up and we found out we were both right. Same
thing. The T-800 and the model 101 were the same. One was the skeleton, and the other one was the cyborg, like the living tissue over the skeleton. And so he's the dude that designs himself, essentially, from the earlier movies. And
not a whole lot to touch on with this because there's not a whole lot out about the movie right now.
Well, we can kind of throw back to Genesis and talk about how, just for real quick, talk about how bad Emilia Clarke made.
I have no problem with them ignoring Genesis ever happened.
How bad was Emilia Clarke in Genesis, dude?
I don't even think that was the worst part. I think the worst part is making John Connor your villain.
But the studio like totally just like, dude, I've never seen an actor get thrown under the bus as hard as they threw Amelia Clark. I'd never seen anybody get thrown under the bus like Amelia Clark got thrown under the bus for that movie. They were like, you know why this movie failed? Because Amelia Clark can't fucking act. Like they said that.
It had nothing to do with Amelia Clark. The movie was fucking awful.
I don't know.
The whole storyline.
There was a lot of bad sex jokes. Like from the Terminator.
Do you think she wrote those jokes?
No. I'm saying, but like it was part of the writing. The writing was awful.
I did not like that they made John Connor a bad guy.
Oh,
how bad was that?
That was the part.
And
I
that was
hated
Justin.
most.
That was Justin Clark, right?
No, it's something. It's not Justin
or Dustin Clark. Jason Clark.
Is it Jason Clark?
Wasn't it Amelia Clark and Jason and something Clark? What's that guy's name? He was great. He was in that movie. He was in the TV show The Brotherhood with him and Jason Isaac.
Yes,
great
right.
show about the Irish mob. 2 seasons got canceled. Unfortunately,
Watched a little bit of it. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Good show.
But it was
though.
good. Good acting.
Had that one chick in it I can't stand.
I didn't like him as John Connor. Maybe it's because he turned into a bad guy. But yeah, you can't make John Connor a bad guy in Terminator.
No, you cannot. That is, it's just wrong. You can't do it.
It's Terminator Suicide.
It is. And that's exactly what happened. And they wanted to do a new franchise.
Title of T6.
Yeah, right.
Sorry,
That's a good one.
T6. John Connor's a good guy again. Like just
Maybe James Cameron's gonna hear that, and that'll be the new name.
Shout out to us, James Cameron, Jimmy Cam. All right.
Another
rumor.
future movie far away. The new Creed.
Creed 2.
Another Creed movie, which is rumored to be bringing back Dolph Lundgren as Ivan Drago.
Have you heard this?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love it. I love
it
Ivan
too.
Drago.
I must break you.
I have to say, I don't understand the dynamics of this and how it would even be possible. I don't see Ivan Drago and Rocky Balboa remaining pen pals or anything after that fight.
Well, he did have that whole, like, Drago just shut up at the end of that movie, and then Rocky gave that speech, like, if I could change, you could change, we could all change.
Let's not forget the fact that after that performance, Ivan Drago probably would have been shot in Soviet Russia.
Yeah, he probably would have had to fled to Sweden or something like
Maybe
that.
he defected and came and
mark my
bunked with
words.
Rocky.
He'll be down and out, and he'll have spent years mourning the fact that he killed
Apollo,
and that'll be a whole
Perhaps.
thing. Like he'll be like, I was messed up about that.
Interesting story. So
I don't know.
I work with a guy. I work with a guy named Ivy, and I was in the office at my job, my real job, not my podcast job, and we were talking about Creed, and I asked him if he's seen it yet, and he goes, "Of course I've seen it," and I said, "Well, you said, like, why was I insulting to him that I asked him if he's seen Creed?" He goes, "Well, because my son wrote it," and I said, "What? The fuck out of here!" Sure as shit, I checked IMDb. His son Aaron wrote Creed. The director, the same guy who directed who's directing the movie Black Panther, the Marvel movie, and was it 46th Station, the one where Michael B. Jordan gets killed,
yeah.
Fruitvale Station.
Fruitvale.
That director was the guy I work with, son's roommate in college, and they're best friends, and they wrote Creed together.
Who's writing Creed 2?
Stallone is writing Creed 2,
Which
and he's also
is
producing.
phenomenal news.
Yeah, it is. I mean, well, guy got him. He almost won Best Picture for Rocky 1 and won Best Director, I believe.
I think he won best screenplay.
Best Screenplay. I know he won an Oscar.
Breast
Screenplay.
Yeah, sorry.
Now, he did end up winning Best Supporting Actor for Creed, didn't he?
He was nominated.
I know he was nominated.
Did
He
not
didn't win?
He- no,
Okay,
he
I
was
wasn't sure
nominated.
if he won or not.
And Creed was nominated for Best Original Screenplay. So yeah, I know a very happy father whose son was nominated for an Academy Award. Didn't win though. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to what did win, but Creed was good.
Nomination is no small thing.
No, it's not. And Creed was actually really good.
Yes, it was.
It was good. Better than I thought it was going to be. Friday, me and Kris, sometime this weekend. Don't know when. We have a mandate planned. Blade Runner 2046.
We have both seen the original Blade Runner. It's been a while, so we will watch on our own time the original. and then we will go see the new one.
I like
And
Ryan Gosling.
We'll definitely talk about that in the next episode.
I like Ryan Gosling. Don't. I think I like Ben Foster more, but I like him, and he's the star of the new Blade Runner. Ryan Gosling. So we'll catch you up.
Ben Foster is
Great actor.
I think he's better actor than Ryan Gosling, but he's not going to fill the seats like Ryan Gosling will.
No,
Ryan
no,
Gosling's
no,
a little prettier.
Yeah, he's a little prettier, but Ben Foster's definitely the better actor. But they kind of
Yes,
do
I
look the
agree.
same, and I think
Yeah.
they're both Canadian too. But yeah. So next podcast, episode 2. This is I want to name each episode. This one's called Pilot, just because it's TV, film
Okay.
and TV.
There is one other one that we watched together the other night.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Go ahead.
Inhumans. Yeah, if any of you out there listening watch Inhumans, give us a call right now. Let us know what you think. Oh wait, no, there's no phone line set up, so we'll just talk about it.
Okay, so this show, it aired in IMAX, on IMAX theaters, and you had to pay to go watch the premiere like a month early in the IMAX. And
Let me just say that the Orville, I think, had a little bit better production value.
which is unbelievable,
Yes.
because this is a Marvel television show. And they talked about how bad, like when I say they, I mean, of course, critics. And critics will smash anything that isn't the way that they want it. Even if it's something different. I mean, you find out with Game of Thrones. You found that with Iron Fist. Iron Fist had like a 12% critic rating and like an 85% viewer rating. And same thing with Game of Thrones. Critics were bashing Game of Thrones. Oh, they're jumping all over the map so quickly in one episode. And people were like, dude, you don't need everything explained to you. Days go by. Fuck off. And so with Inhumans, not one positive review. ABC and Marvel were talking about not even airing this episode because of how bad the reviews were. And they were thinking about firing that Scott Buck guy, or Steve Buck, the same guy who basically destroyed Iron Fist and got fired from Iron Fist. They gave him the Inhumans job, and this was...
Which really drives me nuts because, if I'm pronouncing it right, Ewan Rayan?
Ivan. It's Ivan. It's Ivan
No,
with a W.
actually, I did listen to about 30 pronunciations of his name, and there were many different ones before I came here. Ivan. I heard them all.
I always thought it was Ivan, but okay, yeah.
But-
Ivan Rowan.
Ramsay Snow, Ramsay Bolton
From Game of
Thrones, and another character from a show we're going to talk about in a little bit, but such a great actor, and I was so disappointed with him in
He's like
Inhumans.
chewing.
It's not really him in Inhumans, it's just the show.
Okay, well, Anson Mount is your main character. Anson Mount and Ivan Rowan are your main characters. Anson Mount is a phenomenal actor.
But you can't tell in Inhumans because he doesn't say a word.
He doesn't have any lines because his superpower is his voice. And so it's just him making weird facial expressions and doing the worst sign language ever.
And I'm not saying you can't be a good actor without having any lines. It's just he did not look like a good mute actor.
No, it was bad. And the script seemed rushed. It was very straight to the point, but the point was just kind of dumb and just...
Medusa's hair looked like a cartoon.
It did. The CGI was really bad for a show that for
a Marvel
show.
And well advertised. It's not like they just kind of snuck this one in there.
No,
this was built up.
And they kind of rode that game of they kind of got on that Game of Thrones Kool-Aid because Ivan Rowan.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, dude, Ramsay Snow, he's gonna be Maximus, the villain of the big bad villain of Game of Thrones is gonna be the big bad villain of Inhumans, and people were like, oh, dude,
Maybe we'll get a better
good.
showing out of Gifted.
Starts tonight. I got that one on the DVR. I'm gonna watch that when I get home.
Any of you that don't know, that's the X-Men version of Inhumans.
Yeah, and that's got Soge Bill Compton.
That one. Yeah, I was thinking.
What's his name? Stephen Moyer. Stephen Moyer.
Stephen Moyer.
Suki.
Trying to help you, Suki.
Oh God, Suki. Throwback to
True Blood.
True Blood. God, that's over. We don't talk about that one ever.
I sat through it all.
That will
I
never
sat through
be
every single episode.
I can say for sure that True Blood will never ever be in our revisit segment that we finish the show with. Okay, so Inhumans, skip it. Okay, this one's for me.
Let's give it another episode. I'm definitely gonna watch another episode.
Well, we watched 2 episodes.
That counted as
that
2?
was 2.
All right, maybe skip it then.
No, the first 2 episodes are really bad. I might watch a third, just like you said. I might watch a third, but
just to let you guys know,
if you don't catch this one, don't lose one wink of sleep over it, dude.
No.
It's. I mean, you didn't miss anything. One, I want to spend a minute on this one. Startup season 2, and this is the thing about the show Startup. Startup is a show with Adam Brody, and hey, can you pull this up on IMDb? Startup. It's one word. I know Ron Perlman's in season 2. I got to episode 3 I finished episode 3 last night, halfway through episode 4. If you don't know, Startup is an amazing show on a TV network called Crackle, which is like internet-based, like Hulu and Netflix and things like that, where you pay and you watch. And they've made 2 shows so far that I'm aware of. One is Snatch, starring Rupert Grint, and it's not based on the movie Snatch, but it takes place in England. It's very Snatch like the movie. There's Pikey in it, which sorry if that offends anyone. I know gypsy and pikey aren't very friendly words, but I don't know what else you'd call them. The traveler, like roaming people, the roaming culture of the Romanian people that roam around England.
Kind of like gypsies.
Yeah, but that's offensive too, I believe.
Okay.
So sorry.
I apologize.
Yeah, we really don't mean any offense to anyone.
I mean,
listening, but
that's what you think of when you hear that.
Yeah. So Pikey is a gypsy, and that's what Snatch is. And that's on Crackle. But the first show they had was called Startup, and Startup has Adam Brody, who was from the OC, and
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman from all the Hobbit movies, and also Sherlock, which
Watson.
He's Watson.
And
who's the dude? Who's the black dude? He was from
Eddie.
He's Haitian. He's Haitian.
Gathegi.
Yeah. Okay. So that dude, he was in, and so if people can put it.
Plays Ronald Dacey.
Yes. So Ronnie, Desi. It's
Okay.
Desi. So he was in. If you remember the X-Men with January Jones and Kevin Bacon, the one that took place in the past, where he was one of the mutants that could change his skin tone to match. He was like the evolutionary mutant, like anything. He could adapt to anything. I think Kevin Bacon winds up blowing him up. Anyway, so this show is about a capital investor, Adam Brody, whose dad is a total piece of garbage, money launderer. And so he loses his job because of it. And this girl invents a new kind of electric currency, like Bitcoin, things like that, but she calls it Gencoin, and it's better. And this isn't a real thing. It doesn't exist. And I don't know that it will ever exist, or at least not for 20 years. But in the show, it exists. It changes. The currency changes with inflation, and it just eliminates money. And she invents it with this algorithm that is like years ahead of her time. And to finance it through crazy happenstance, a Haitian drug lord who is played by the Eddie guy who was the mutant in X-Men Futures Past. And it's these 3 guys who are the most unlikeliest of friends ever. And they start up this thing, and it's crazy. And Martin Freeman is a corrupt FBI agent who is a murderer, and all he wants to do is find someone to blackmail so he can leave the country. Like the whole, and it's I think it was 10 episodes, phenomenal. Well, season 2 just started up. I don't want to give anything away about how season 2 starts up, but the only thing I will say is it's called Startup Season 2 Dark Web. She invents a new dark web that is untraceable by the NSA. And it's super. The show is great. I do have some complaints about it. One of the complaints is that the female character, whose name was Chris just closes the app, but I'll get to her name in a second. But on the show, she's a super genius, but she might be one of the worst written characters I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, you should know this. Her name is Izzy Morales.
Izzy Morales. So her character is terrible. She's just makes the worst decisions and has the worst anger management problems. So she's like George Costanza mixed with, I don't know, like who's really angry all the time and just punches
David
people.
Banner, Bruce Banner.
Yeah, just the Hulk. Like it's just, but she's just a really poorly written character. So far in season 2, she's a lot better. She's a lot better in season 2. And I think it's because of the events that take place in the last couple episodes of season 1. So if you can find a way to download it, pirate it, whatever, or be legal, don't watch dirty, get Crackle. There's 2 series on Crackle, Startup and Snatch. Both shows will have 2 seasons. Snatch's next season will be out next summer. It got renewed. Startup is definitely worth the watch. Great show. And I think we just got one more before our ending our revisit, and that's episodes.
Episodes, a Showtime show, which probably nobody has heard of. I don't know if the
It's
show
season
has any-
5.
Yes, I know. It's a phenomenal show.
Here's
it's
the
hilarious.
thing. I don't know if you knew this, but this show airs in its entirety, and the week after its season finale in the UK, Showtime airs episode 1 of that season here in the States. So it's a UK show that also airs on Showtime, and it stars Matt LeBlanc as
Matt LeBlanc.
And just a total piece of shit, like living on his own coattails of playing Joey on Friends.
So yes, Matt LeBlanc is Matt LeBlanc in LA, trying to still act, even though everybody sees him as Joey, and even his old cast members like Jennifer Aniston and David, or is it David Schwimmer? Yeah,
David Schwimmer still talks to him,
Oh,
but
yeah.
the other ones don't.
Yeah. All the old cast members hate him, and he's trying to still act, and he's a womanizer. He's divorced. He's
Kind of a shitty dad too.
yeah, he is hilarious though. And 2 English writers, Beverly and Sean. They come from England. They have a show called Lyman's Boys in England. It's a hit show, and they come to the States to make the show here in the U.S. And once the American studio heads get a hold of this show, Lyman's Boys, which was about...
just for the record, Tamsin Greig plays Beverly Lincoln, and Stephen Mangan plays Sean. And you might know Stephen Mangan from the show he was with. It was called Houdini and Doyle, and that was on for a season on Fox, and I think it got canceled. But it was a good show.
Tamsin Greig was actually in Shaun of the Dead.
Was she?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Remember when the 2 passing groups passed each other and they were all identical?
Yes.
One of them was Tamsin Greig.
Oh, that's awesome. But Tamsin Greig is it Greg or Grieg? I think it's Grie.
I'm not sure.
All right, Tamsin Greig. We'll call her Greg because we're not British. But Tamsin Greig, and there's other really good supporting casts not worth mentioning here. But
back to the plot of this show.
Yeah.
So they come to the States, and once the American studio heads get a hold of this show, it goes from being like Oxford professor named Lyman about his class. It turns into Matt LeBlanc playing Lyman as a hockey coach, and the show has gone from Lyman's Boys to Pucks. And it is just an abomination of their original show.
Well, see, the thing was, the Sean and Beverly won awards for how good the show was in the UK.
For Lyman's Boys.
For Lyman Boys. And then they came to the United States, and which they hate it in the United States.
They hate living here. They hate writing this stupid show, Pucks.
And they hate Matt
for
LeBlanc.
This Neanderthal Matt LeBlanc.
And it's I don't know how it made it as far as it did. And I want to say it's got to be the ratings, the UK ratings, because
Matt LeBlanc is vulgar. It's hilarious. I mean, I hope he's not like that in real life, but you watch the show and you think he is.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even talk to him. Like if I met him, like this guy's just gonna punch me in the face. Like he's just a dick. But anyway,
Very funny show. Very funny. It's on Showtime.
Season 5. Me and Kris have seen every episode, and
every season this show looks like it's going to be the final season.
Yeah.
And this one probably will be, but it always seems to come bouncing back. I don't know.
Next episode, I just caught up with this last Sunday's episode. Next episode said the series finale, which is
so maybe the book's going to close on this show.
And but if you haven't watched episodes, I promise you will laugh 3 to 4 times, like hysterically out loud, each and every episode. The characters are great. It's except Matt LeBlanc, but like I said, he's playing himself and he does a great job. And he's just total piece of shit, drunk, and just it's a great show. It's called Episodes. Give it a watch.
For example, one episode he's trying to get a guest star from Friends, one of his old cast members, to come and be on Pucks. And every time he calls somebody like Courtney Cox, she ends up hanging up the phone on him, refuses to talk to him since, I guess, the incident or something. There's always reasons why they won't talk to him. And the kicker at the end, should I give away the cameo?
Yeah, go ahead. Just throw it out
at the very end, they finally get their friend's castmate to do a cameo on the show, and it's Gunther from Central Perk. Couldn't get any of the main characters, but they got Gunther.
And I even believe that I think that one of the things that Gunther says to Matt LeBlanc, like because he was the opposite hockey coach.
Yes,
and
he skates over at the end,
and he comes over and he says, "Still getting my $200, right?"
Yeah,
yeah. All right. Well, in conclusion, like I said earlier, we want to end the show with something we like to call a revisit, where we will give you something that we watched in its entirety and discussed and talked about to throw out to you.
And for these, it doesn't matter if you've seen the show or not. This is worth going back and watching again, whether you've seen it or not.
So, first episode ever revisit, Kris.
This show ran from 2009 to 2013. I don't believe it ever aired in the United States. It's a UK show.
I think it did on like a weird, like a BBC One, which is an American channel.
This show is called Misfits, and we teased earlier that Iwan Ryan, whatever his name is,
Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah, Ramsay Bolton.
Maximus
was one of the main stars in the first 3 seasons of this show. The show starts off in the UK with was it five
Yep.
20-something-year-old, 20, 21.
Kelly, Curtis,
maybe 19.
Nate, Simon, and the black girl.
Alicia.
Those are the 5.
Yes. So they're all sentenced. They don't know each other. And they all meet on one morning for community service because all of them have been convicted of some sort of crime. And on the morning of their first community service day, there's a weird storm. They all get struck by lightning, and they all gain a superpower. Now, not all these powers are super. Some of them, they gain a power of some sort.
This was one of the darkest superhero shows you will ever see. For example, Alicia's superpower.
Yeah, I wasn't going to get into that one first.
Oh,
that one's a little rough.
That one is
let's go with Simon. Ivan Rand's character.
Turns invisible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, all these powers that they gain
are based on their personalities.
Yes, exactly. Based on their personalities. Simon is an introvert. He's very shy. He always feels like nobody sees him. He feels like he's invisible. So his superpower is he can turn invisible. Alicia. Well,
okay, let me touch this one delicately because this one's kind of rough. Alicia craves attention. She's a very beautiful girl. She's super pretty, very posh. That's a British word for you.
She uses her body to get what she wants.
And she uses her body to get what she wants. She sleeps around a little bit, and it is what it is. I mean, no one's slut shaming. I'm just saying, but she does. Like she tried to sleep with the cop that who pulled her over when she had the drugs on her, which is how she wound up in community service. So that's just her personality.
Yeah, that kind of behavior is fine with me.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. And so, unfortunately, her superpower was anytime anyone, regardless of their person's gender, touched her, they became overpowered by lust and, in some cases, raped her. Tried to rape her.
Yeah,
Like
I don't think it's ever successful.
I don't think they ever. Yeah, I don't think the show ever let it get that far. But they just
the person will try to rape her because that is her superpower. I mean, any human contact causes that in the individual. So no, all these superpowers aren't always super. Sometimes they're curses.
yes, and that is one of them. Like there is like a handful of. And I know this might throw some people off, but it never gets that far. But there's a handful of times where it's a close call and the person can't help it. And
Yeah.
it sounds like rape defending, but it's not. It's a power. And so it actually at one point they start power swapping because that's somebody's power.
That gets later in the second season, I believe.
But man gets her power and loves it. So
well, the thing about it too is they're not the only 5 people in the UK that got these powers.
Correct.
The storm affected lots of other people. There's lots of other people throughout the city, at least, that have these powers. Another individual that they meet later was a drug dealer, and his power, because they relate to your personality, is he can now deal in powers. So he can take your power from you and give you a new power. So it's a really cool concept. It's basically what Heroes should have been.
Yes.
It's a phenomenal show. The first 3 seasons, I will say, were some of the best 3 seasons of TV I've ever seen.
The first 4, because the fourth one was the first one with Rudy, which was good.
No, I think the third one was the first one with Rudy. I think Nathan was only in the first 2.
Okay, you're right. And then in a movie, it was 2 seasons and a movie.
Yeah, Vegas, baby.
Yeah, and yeah, but it's a really good show. I recommend you watch it. You can download it, you can buy it, you watch it however you want. I don't think it's on Netflix, but it's a great show.
This is our revisit of the week. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically a must-watch. If you have not seen Misfits, you need to watch it. It's phenomenal.
Very dark. Hide your wife, hide your kids.
It's very funny.
It's hilarious.
They have probably how many probation officers they go through.
Oh, they kill all the probation officers accidentally. They kill them all accidentally. But yeah, check it out. I think my favorite superpower, not one I would want to have, but my favorite one to watch somebody else have, was the guy who was like the lazy bum who played the video games all the time. And his superpower was he saw everything
Yes.
in
in
a
real
video
life.
game.
In real life, he saw everything like he was in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, like everything was like in like Grand Theft Auto, and it was really cool. Yeah, nobody big in that one. I mean, a lot of British actors you'll see here and there in like other British TV shows. The only big one that made it out of that show into other things was Ivan Rowan, who became Ramsay Bolton, and now he's Maximus in Inhumans. And I gotta say,
you are forgetting one that Catelyn Stark was Nathan's mother in that show.
Oh, that's right. Michelle Fairley. Michelle Fairley was Nathan's mom, and they stuck Dad in the boot.
But there was another girl in the later seasons that she was just in a show not too long ago. I can't remember it.
I've seen some of them. Do you remember the tall redhead? She was in Peaky Blinders. She was. I mean,
the one with the alien invasion
Under the Dome.
Yes. No, not that one.
Yeah, it was Under the Dome.
No, it wasn't.
She was the teacher in Under the Dome. You're talking about the dark skinned girl in season 5.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right. It was Under the Dome. I was thinking of the other one, the newer one with the alien invasion. But yeah, you're right. It was Under the Dome, and it was weird because she seemed so young in Misfits, but then she was a teacher in Under the Dome.
Yeah, she was like 15 in Misfits, and then like 2 years later, she's in Under the Dome as a 30-year-old school teacher.
But the last 2 seasons of that show aren't as good as the first 3, but they're not bad. They're still good.
Nope. They're good.
Again, with Misfits, the show didn't get canceled. You have a final episode. You get to watch it beginning to end with an ending in mind.
Oh, also, real quick, Joseph Gilgun plays Rudy in season 3, 4, and 5, and he is Cassidy on Preacher.
Yes.
And that was where he kind of got his start. He's a Scottish dude, or I don't know. I think he's Scottish or English, or whatever.
But he definitely makes the last couple seasons worth watching.
Yeah, he replaced Nathan, who was kind of the comedic relief, and then he became the comedic relief, and so it's good. So anyway, Misfits, check it out. If you want to get a hold of me or Chris, hit me up. I said it earlier. pricksonflix@gmail.com. It's PRIXONFLIX@gmail.com. We've had a lot of fun today.
If you guys got something you want us to discuss, definitely hit us with an email and let us know, and we'll view it and we'll talk about it for you.
All right, and that's a wrap. Pilot episode 1.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yep.